Good evening. This is CTV News for Wednesday, February 4th. I'm Patricia Vallone.
And I'm Byron Scott. Thank you for joining us tonight. Well, the man accused of shooting a mother and his own child in Fort Washington is being held without bond. Police describe 25-year-old Darren Boswell Johnson as a callous murderer. 25-year-old Darren Boswell Johnson is charged with first and second-degree murder. This is the man, police say, who drove to 1314 Palmer Road in Fort Washington on Tuesday morning and waited.
At this point, we believe that the father had gone to confront Ms. Davis at her home about child support issues.
More specifically, court documents indicate Johnson approached 26-year-old Nashante Davis at gunpoint as she stood near her car just before 7 a.m. and demanded she drop her child support petition. A judge had recently ordered him to pay $600 a month. Moments later, he allegedly shot and killed Davis. Police say he then opened the car door and pumped lead into his daughter, 2-year-old Chloe Davis Green, who survived until she got to the hospital.
This is not a happy circumstance. This is a callous and cold-hearted crime.
Johnson was arrested hours after the shooting. Police picked him up at work in Rockville.
Case, I assure you, we will continue to investigate. We will be prepared to present the strongest case possible to make sure that we bring Mr. Johnson to justice and that we are able to bring some peace to this family.
And investigators say Johnson confessed to the crime.
Prince George's police are investigating a fatal pedestrian accident in Clinton. The incident happened Wednesday night along the 9100 block of Piscataway Road. The victim has been identified as 71-year-old Abdul Hassan Ansari of Potomac. Authorities say the striking car was traveling westbound when it hit the male victim. Police don't believe he was in a crosswalk at the time. The driver remained on the scene and is cooperating with investigators.
And President Obama's visit to a mosque in Baltimore yesterday is being considered historic. But a local Muslim imam says he should have done it sooner. CTV's Latifa Majid has the story from Lanham.
Well, Muslims make up nearly 1% of America's population, and many of them have been receiving backlash, especially after the recent terrorist attacks in California and Paris, which is why many of the Islamic leaders are saying that President Obama's visit to the mosque is long overdue. He should have made that in his first term as president and not waited until the second.
I've had mothers write and say, my heart cries every night thinking about how her daughter might be treated at school. Girl from Ohio, 13 years old, told me, I'm scared.
In a speech that touched on the role Islam has played in our country, President Obama spoke against the violence directed at Muslims.
There is an organized extremist element that draws selectively from Islamic texts, twists them in an attempt to justify their killing and their terror. They combine it with false claims that America and the West are at war with Islam.
Ahmad Azari, the religious director at the Prince George's Muslim Association in Lanham, says the president's visit should have been made a long time ago.
It came late, though. You know that he should have done this step a long time ago. He's in his second term now. And I think all the Muslim community everywhere in the United States is very happy. Because it gives a very strong message to all the haters.
The community is hoping that Obama's visit and speech calms the negative backlash against Muslims.
I hate very much every time to defend Islam, to say that no, we are not Muslims who are doing this, we are not ISIS, we are not. You know that being in the defensive position all the time is not something that we are looking for.
Now, the mosque that President Obama visited is one of the largest in the Mid-Atlantic region. In Lanham, I'm Latif Majid, CTV News.
During the visit, many shared stories with the president about how they feel unsafe in their own communities.
Meantime, an Anne Arundel lawmaker introduces legislation that would use Maryland tax law to target religious institutions that promote terrorism. The proposal would prohibit those nonprofit organizations from claiming certain exemptions. Delegate David Vogt formally filed the bill this morning with about 24 Republican co-sponsors. But the controversial measure has sparked criticism from many Muslims who feel they are being unfairly targeted, as well as civil rights groups.
Go into every church and see if any anti-abortion terrorist is associated with that church. and the fact that someone may have indirect ties. What does that mean, and how is that going to be enforced? I mean, as I understand it, it's extremely broad. It's really just, as I said, fear-mongering and inflaming anti-Muslim biases.
And unfortunately, that's where we've seen a lot of the radical promotion of terror is through radical jihadists, but it's by no means targeting that one specific group. It's anybody that's promoting any form of domestic terrorism or foreign terrorism, for that matter, needs to be rooted out. And as far as the constitutional issue, I've had plenty of conversations with bill drafters. They wouldn't let the bill go forward as an official bill if there were constitutional concerns.
Nevot says he began working on the bill following the Paris terror attacks. He chose to file it this week after learning of President Obama's visit to a Baltimore mosque. And you are watching CTV News. I'm Patricia Vallone.
And I'm Byron Scott.